Are you ready? We shall begin. GSCPL Week 2 continues. Lax on Nidoking. I was just about to say, is there a thief? But it beat me to it. Lax getting its leftovers stolen is about the worst target in general to absorb the thief, of course. You always want to be the one thieving the Lax. Just the general aside. Except when you critty Q and instantly kill the... What? I'm 90% sure that's not a kill. Is it? Shall we see? Okay, I'm just frazzled. I'm absolutely frazzled by that. You absolutely... Well, it depends on the game, but, like, most likely, you're taking the trade. Like, the vast majority of the time, Snorlax is gonna take the double-edged ship and the thief over... Okay, it's just a very high roll. With a crit. Okay, it's 28% chance to kill. You should be able to see that. Yes, you can. Yeah, because I'm like, Double Edge is on 2 at KO, but the crit, of course, negating one round of the leftovers, allows it for a high roll crit to occur, and that's what happens. And Lax takes a boatload of recoil. Chloe comes in, finds a me. This is going to likely be some kind of stall team. Sub me, protecting it from the toxic status, is going to spin here as the Lax either curses or breaks the sub. This is going to be likely a Skarmory coming in response. No. Okay, then this is likely a Starmie on offense. Sub me on offense with rapid spin could be like the Earthworm Paraspam. Yeah, so it is offense. Does not choose to go for the Toxic there and let the Chloe die. Chooses to go to Steelix. Cloyster is healthy enough to take a couple rounds of spikes. Lix is going to be able to roar it out here. Wasn't in range for EQ. Seems to be a Mono Lax. So indicating a Nidogar from Lord Thorks. Gengar and Tyranitar are likely the other two, along with Zapdos. Toxic blanks on the Gengar. This doesn't appear to be the Paraspam team I was talking about. Could just be a generic Starmie on offense type thing. Yep, there is a Tyranitar in response to the Gengar. Gets Dynamic Punch for 50%. I've seen a lot of Dynamic Punch recently. Starmie comes in on the Zapdos. Sub fishing for Thunder misses. It is Thunder, not Thunderbolt. Starmie can do this a couple more times. Or you can just go to the Licks, which he does. Chloe gets free entry on this thing. But Lord Thorks gets rewarded for calling out that Jester would double here with a Thunder crit on the Lax. Lax is in range of another Thunder. Jester was likely using the opportunity for trying to double on the Chloe as a chance to heal up his Lax a bit, or maybe his Lax can threaten that Chloe. Just Thunders getting the licks. We could see a roar here. We could see another switch. There's the roar. Finds Gengar. I was right. It is a Nidogar. Just standard stuff. It is, in fact, Lefty's Gar, not Thief. EQ into the Zapdos. Licks is healing. HP crit. Doing a chunk. Just roars it out. Finds the Cloyster. Not what you want to see. Could go Starmie. Does he predict with a Toxic? He does not. But this me is not going to have Psychic. Lax comes in. Gonna break the Starmie sub. or Curse again. Breaks a sub. Lix is still healthy enough to stave off this Mono Lax. But Zapdos doubles in. Does good against a Starmie that tries to stay in. Gets another crit hidden power. This thing may as well have had hidden power water this whole time. And Lix just goes for a Curse. Lives it. Does it go for the boom? He over predicts. And now that Lix is pretty useless. A boom there could have been huge. But of course, EQing into that Gengar, not fun. I mean, EQing into the Gengar, not fun for Thorks. But booming into the Gengar, hard for Jester. Of course, he could have switched out into nothing, really. Like, you could try to pivot in me on a hidden power, because he's not going to be... If he's staying in, he's not thundering there. That's just insane. So Starmie's not unreasonable there, but because Lax is so chipped, he doesn't really have abilities to pivot in this Zapdos safely at all. So calling this turn right would have been very big for Jester, because both Gengar and this Zapdos are major threats to his team. And he had the opportunity to eliminate one of them, but does not find that. Does preserve it, goes Gengar on the hidden power. Ice Punch should be barely out of range for Thunder. It is, but finds the Para, and it is in range of hidden power Ice because it does not have lefties. Sacks the Licks, gonna go to his own Zapdos. Looks like Thorks is in a commanding position. It's T-Bolt, which doesn't allow you the insane burst damage and volatility of Thunder, but it doesn't have the volatility of Thunder. Just gonna T-Bolt away. It's very possible that this Zapdos is not Sleep Talk. It could be Whirlwind with the Gengar. T-Bolting into the Sleep Talk. Catches him with the hidden power Ice. Catches him with the second hidden power Ice. This Zapdos is now ready to wake up, and his only response to it is hoping this Starmie can somehow dodge a million Thunders, or like, what do you do against this Lax? Your Starmie does not punish the Zapdos for just being on the field. The Lord Thorks' his Lax can just come in, and if Gengar and Tyranitar meet, that Gengar is dead. No if and or buts about it. But even just even if somehow Zapdos for Lord Thorks fails, he has his own Gengar, which is a huge threat to the remaining Mons on Jester's team. So I believe Thorks has it, and that's why I'm going to kick it up to the fast gear. Jester needs to be able to call all the Tyranitar switches and force it out, and eventually kill it with spikes to allow his Gengar to infinitely wall the Snorlax. So he likely doubles out here. No, he tries to Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch would kill the Tar, but it's Dynamic Punch through Para. But he gets met with the Gengar. Gengar is a wonderful middle ground from Thorks, because nothing that Jester's Gengar can do threatens it. Like, the worst could be his Thief, and he's not going for that here. And his Gengar threatens. It just threatens. It shreds. Switches in Starmie to T-Bolt. And he's gonna try and recover stall T-Bolts? That's just begging to get crit. Or parad. Zacks the Cloyster. Goes Lax on the missed Dynamic Punch. Lax was just out of range for that. If this is a mono Lax, it doesn't really get it done here, but if you're not Sleep Talk, you're in trouble. Sleep Talk Rest. He wants to be Sleep Talk. Honestly, maybe Sleep Talk Thunder here, or Sleep Talk EQ. He's trying to recover stall these T-Bolt. No, he's not. He's just going lax. Back to Gengar. He's pivoting through, hoping for a dynamic punch of misses, but Thunderbolt crits, not doing it. Does not roll rest. Dynamic punch hits. That's game. Coming back from the early turn 1 crit on the Nidoking, Lord Thorix just takes the game in a commanding fashion. Jester just fell apart once his Lax was unable to got crit by the Zapdos. And then his Licks got double crit by Hidden Power. If you need proof for why Zapdos is the second best Pokemon in GSC, it can just do that. Thunder crits are the most broken thing. They're absurd. Also, double-edged crits are kind of nutty too. So, we're going to the next game. Vanny versus Ruby Blood. Again, week 2. I'm trying to catch up on the week 2 games. Lax on Lax. Could be anything. Could both double. Could both double edge. Could both curse. Curse and Cloyster. Cloyster is obligated to go for a Toxic here to prevent the Lax from just setting up and setting up and setting up. But Toxic doesn't really do it if this is a mono Lax. But yeah, it's usually safe to spike up here. Body Slam, no para. You prefer that to double edge, as long as it's no para. Body Slams into the Licks, not taking a lot, not getting para'd. Could curse here, could roar here. Body Slams again, indicating this is in fact a mono Lax, and gets roared out into Tyranitar. Makes sense for the mono Lax. Switches out in fear of potential Fire Blast or Surf or whatnot that the Tyranitar wants you to throw at the Licks. Misses Toxic on the Tar. Tar does not often run rest, so Toxic would be very helpful if Vanny's Lax is not EQ, but misses and gets Rock Slid for his troubles. Lax comes in saying, I have EQ, get away from me, but Lovely Kisses. If that Lovely Kiss lands on the Cloyster, it denies spikes. But he was very much wanting to hit that Tyranitar. It could be Lovely Kiss, Curse, EQ, Double Edge, or Lovely Kiss, Double Edge, like Body Slam, Curse, Boom. Or it could be Lovely Kiss, Double Edge, Curse, Rest. Could be any mix of those options for a more longevity or offense-centered Lax. Spikes go up. It says, I don't want your Cloyster to be an active threat. Me comes in. Gets double-edged. Can't safely spin here. Has to either recover. Yeah, it's just gonna try and recover this through. It's healing a net 3% in these turns. Very dangerous should this Snorlax decide to get lucky all of a sudden. That's a lower roll. Charmy's healing a bit more, and it should be out of range of a low roll. Chooses to go for it and gets punished. Goes for the spin. Says, my spin, like, no spikes on my side is more important than a Starmie on my side because your Cloy is dead. Tyranitar comes in. It is a Screechtar missing, and it's Surf Lax. That's not something you often see. Surf Lax's special, like, it's underwhelming, to say the least. But it does the job against Golem. And occasionally Licks. And it's useful against Tyranitar, but it is middling, as you see. Screech missing there is big. It means that Snorlax is not forced out this turn and can, in fact, surf again. And that happens again. You know, just like maybe one more Screech miss, you know? No, he just goes with a Roar. So it is Screech Roar, not always carried together. We see the full set. Rock Slide miss on the Zapdos. Thunder would have killed, but yeah, just a lot of missing going on. This looks very similar to the Earthworm Paraspam team. Might be the same 6 different sets. Very different sets. The Earthworm Paraslam has Dynamic Punch, or like this is just Tyranitar Starmie Marowak. Like that core is a thing that is not exclusive to that team, that sample team. But I most commonly associate these three with that team. That team in general can have some awkward lines into Zapdos because it does not have a traditional secondary electric check. It has a Starmie, which gets murdered by Zap. And, of course, that team usually has Subney, but this one doesn't appear to. This one has Recover instead of Sub. But often requires skillful pivoting of Marowak into Zapdos, as has been done here. Of course, Marowak lives 2 hidden powers without spikes. Chooses this as an opportunity to get its Lax in, but the crit hidden power, putting it in range of Thunder. But Thunder misses, Ruby Blood gets the rest. There's a lot of variance going on in those 2 turns. Double, Lax on Zap, Double Edge looks fairly scary. Thunder Wave comes out, full para. This Lax very well may not be a rest Lax, so that para could be stuck on this Lax. Whirlwinds it out for taking a Double Edge. Responds to the Zapdos with his Mono Lax. At least we presume it to be. Lix comes in. It is Mono Lax. Third Body Slam, no para on this Lix. Curses of the Zapdos. Could be afraid of a hidden power Water there. To it KOing. Goes for the Boom and catches the Sleeping Cloyster. But that leaves us with Vanny reclaiming his sleep pressure, but also gaining a weakness to normal type moves from that Mono Lax. Lax on Lax, Ruby Blood's Lax is in theory favored here. We still don't know what the end of that Vanny's Lax's set is. If it has Boom, it may very well go for it right now. No way he goes for it now, though. After the second consecutive para. Body Slam doing a massive amount. Third para. Actually, I amend my former statement. At +1 defense, in this scenario, with the Lax to it KOing Vanny's Lax, it is not unreasonable to explode. I don't have Explosion Lax's calcs memorized. Pardon that. I think we shall do that right now. Self-destruct at +1. Yeah, that is... At worst, he ends up at 67, so taking 67 net, so at 33%, but a significant margin of the time it is in range of Zapdos Thunder. So Explosion, even on the +1 Lax, Self-Destruct, is not negligible. Of course, he could have been going for Lovely Kiss there as well. Body Slam, again, no para. At least Vanny's catching that break, but it's a Screech Tar, not a Roar Tar. Funny we see 2 Screech Tars. It's para'd, catches Tar with EQ. Whack comes in, threatening to demolish Tyranitar into dust. The dust of the mountain that I think Pupitar eats. I don't know Pokedex entries. Swords Dance here is also a fine play, because should Zapdos switch in, it now dies to Rock Slide, and Tyranitar could just get para'd, but it screeches at the Marowak, sacrifices itself. Vanny seems to be coming up down apart. Hidden powers to get some chip on the Zapdos, on the Marowak, gets Rock Slid, but it's a Kangaskhan back. Holy cow, this team has 5 Pokemon weak to Cross Chop. The last on Steelix, Tyranitar, like Screech Tar stuff, can be all sorts of things depending on the, just what they want. Vaporeon is not particularly uncommon there. I've never seen a Kangaskhan there, but that makes that gives the context of the Screech line more sense, because I was curious. Because if you're going to Screech, you're lowering physical defense, so you, in theory, have a physical Mon in back. But going to Zapdos says your physical Mon in back can't one-shot, can't do 50% to Marowak with one hit, which isn't unreasonable. Most physical Mons can't do that. But having Kangaskhan, like, this team, if Ruby Blood brought Mono Machamp and, like, boomed on the Zapdos, it dies. The team just dies. Like, or even just a Machamp, like the standard Curse Champ. This team looks incredibly weak to Cross Chop. Wow. Okay. But Kangaskhan here. This Tyranitar could be, very well be Pursuit, allowing the Kangaskhan to be a Rest Talker, which would be very major in helping it 1v on the Lax. It could also be a Roar Kangaskhan, but it is almost certainly going to have Curse. So it's going to threaten the Whack out. Zapdos comes in on the return, not to hit KO'd. Opts to Thunder Wave first. Kanga goes Curse. Return should kill. It does. Sends in the Awake Lax. In theory, Vanny loses this. But if they get into a Curse War for too long, and it's actually Roar Kanga, and it roars out, then Ruby Blood's in trouble. But this Kanga now, it has the major, like, it has a major Curse lead, so it does have Rest. But if it's Rest Roar, no, sorry, if it's not Rest, yeah, if it's Rest Roar, as some Kangas are, to kind of just bully stall teams. Like, it's one of the most brutal things for a stall team to face that doesn't have a Ghost type. Is Rest Roar Kanga, then I think Vanny has a theoretically, barring significant hacks, guaranteed victory. And it appears to be that set, so the Tyranitar would be Pursuit on this team. Oh, this team is so weak to Machamp. And there's the Roar. Marowak's not living a return, so it has to hope for an EQ crit, does not find it. Lax can no longer be roared out, but it's going to be taking massive chunks from not double edge, return. 47, but it is a oh wow, I didn't know the speed interactions. A 0.4 Kanga outspeeds 0.67 Lax. So Lax is mandated to rest there. Ruby Blood also doesn't know the speed interaction. And it goes away. I don't know how I feel about Vanny's team. If I was confident my opponent would never bring a Marowak, not a Marowak, Machamp, I think it's very, very cool because I like Kangaskhan a lot. It's just so hard to fit because it wants to run Rest Roar. That's its best set, but that's its hardest set to fit because it requires so much support, and that support is usually in the form of Tyranitar, and then you have 3 cross-chop weeks, plus the Cloyster you normally find with it, so that's 4 cross-chop weeks, and then it's just hard. It's just very hard to build a successful team with Kangaskhan. Ruby Blood's team, I like the variation on the sample team. Like the variation from, I shouldn't say on because that implies he took the sample team and changed it. He may have come up with these 6 on his own or whatnot. I don't know. I'm not in his DMs. Yeah, it's neat. Starmie is likely Surf Thunderwave. Body Slam makes sense with the Marowak. Screech Roar is neat for when you really need to force out Lax, because in theory, Tyranitar does do enough of a job at scaring out Snorlax with just Screech, but sometimes it gets cheeky and takes the massive chunk from from Rock Slide when it's at -2 defense, and your Tyranitar can get chipped down very quickly. Cloyster is likely the standard set, and Zapdos is Thunder Wave, Whirlwind, T-Bolt, maybe HP Water, maybe HP Ice, depending on how much he was considering Vanny's probability of bringing Executor in this match. But overall, for in-game play, it was clean. It was pretty clean. The Kangaskhan win con at the end was certainly unexpected. We don't see Kanga all that much, but then again, we don't see Jolteon all that much, and we've had 4 of them in the past 2 weeks. I think that, I don't, bring me more Jolteons. Just, like, call it an early Christmas present, please. I like my Jolteons in, name it the GSCPL of Jolteon. Yeah.